Greetings, folks, and welcome to the Electromaker Show. This is your midweek roundup of all things maker and embedded and lovely. Now, this week we'll be talking about the Rome Maker Faire. It is back as a physical event in Rome, in Italy, but you can also attend it digitally online, and we'll be looking at how you can do that. And we're also finally announcing the winner of our MyCobot Pi competition that we started a couple of weeks ago. If you remember, that's the very cool robot arm thing that I showed in the show a few weeks ago that I reviewed that I don't really want to give away. It's a very lovely prize, but somebody has won it and we're announcing that in this week's show. But we're also doing a regular mystery box competition that's coming back, so there's 2 giveaways in this show. And on top of all that, we'll have our regular going through the news and looking at cool stuff and funding website things, of course. A quick update on the Attic of Dreams. Well, now there's a hammer on the wall. Yeah, let's get on with the show. And we are starting this week's show with a project from one of my favorite YouTube channels. Now, I know I am guilty of consistently saying that many YouTube channels are among my favorite YouTube channels, but a channel that I have been a fan of for quite some time is Emily's Electric Oddities. Now, if you're not familiar with Emily's channel, it mixes a lot of beautiful old tech with newer tech, so puts Arduinos into old things, and also some of it just straight up reuses old tech. One of her older videos was using the cathode ray tube viewfinder of a camcorder and repurposing it into a brass sculpture, which is somewhere on this page. I'll let you find that yourself. But there's so many wonderful things, like the Orb, which is a singing, tumbling synthesizer. Again, a fantastic video. And everything from that to how to clean animal bones and use them in art projects. It's a beautifully varied channel, and Emily is an incredibly talented maker. And again, some of it is just chilled, hanging out and doing soldering. One of my favorite YouTube channels. I will stop trying to say go and look at it now. If you're interested, you will be interested. But we are here to talk about her latest video, which is a rooftop garden with solar-powered automated irrigation. This wonderful introduction, again, I suggest you go and watch the video yourself because I'm not going to let the entire thing play. But essentially, this is Emily pointing out how she used a simple off-the-shelf timer for a hose. I think they're called a hose bib, and used it along with a battery controller and a solar panel in order to run automatic irrigation on her rooftop garden this video was celebrating a full 90 days of it working. If I quickly skim through, you can see, there's a little guide here as to how it works. A simple Harbor Freight solar panel, 12 volt to 5 volt car charger, which changes the voltage, TP4056 battery management module, which is running a single 18650 battery, and that, again, in turn runs the thrift or hose bib timer. Using the parts that she already has to make a simple thing, and as you will see if you watch the video, there are some very good results to it, as in many, many lovely tomatoes. Oh, I just realized I was missing for most of that section. Anyway, hello, I'm back. Go and watch Emily's Electric Oddities. Just a wonderful YouTube channel. Up next, we have a piece of installation art using LED strips and a camera and an unknown processor, which may or may not be a Raspberry Pi, maybe something else. It doesn't actually say. But it's a fantastic work of art using hobby microcontrollery, those types of components. And it's the kind of thing I wish I featured a bit more on the show. But this is an art installation called Enter. So, as it says here, Enter is an interactive light installation, which is the size of a door, comprises 32 5-meter long LED strips, and is sound reactive, connected to a high frame rate camera source. However, rather than me just explaining it to you, maybe we should just quickly watch the introductory video, which shows how this thing works. So yes, as you can see, it is a really wonderful piece. The LEDs are reacting incredibly quickly, and the camera is also incredibly quickly. It says specifically it's a high frame rate camera. And the way it's designed, I find to be really quite nice. You have that little one area where you're standing. It's obviously just designed to frame the face and frame the hand. This is some of the same video footage again. This is a different video with some of the same footage in it with a few things. And I also love the fact that it's also it's an incredibly well considered and put together piece. As you can see, by the time the LED strips get up to the top, it can even spell out words and work as a small screen. But a little bit further down, it's just a mess of LEDs. I really like the fact that, look, it just looks like LED soup until it gets up to here. A really fantastic project. Yes, I'm not usually an Instagram person, but this Instagram account is definitely worth following. This has some really great examples of videos that they have made, and one of those videos called Pixelator is a p5.js port of a processing library, because this is processing is what they use to make some of their videos. And in fact, if you want to see an example of the kind of video I'm talking about, here is an example of the kind of work I'm talking about, all done in processing. This is the Java version of it, but as a part of this, as an aside to this, there is now a p5.js library that you can download here, and it has all the nice p5 stuff in, as you could imagine. A bit of a tangent from there. The original thing was, of course, to have a look at Enter, which is a wonderful piece in and of itself. I will link the website, because this is the artist's website. It showed up in a few places on the internet this week, and as always, it showed up on Reddit and nobody credited the artist. But here you can find under works, Enter is here, and the videos that I showed you are here. And also, if you are interested in this Pixelator tool and any of the other stuff, you can find it under the Tools tab here. You can find out about the artist, and you can also find out how to get to their Instagram if you would like to follow them there. Just a really nicely put together piece, and there's a few other ones you can see here too. Just quickly before we go on, a little quick housekeeping. So if you are enjoying the Electromaker show, there are various ways you can support us. Now, the most obvious one, if you're watching a YouTube show, is to simply subscribe to our channel. And so that's this big red button under here. That won't really change the way you use YouTube all that much. That just means that when you open your subscriptions tab, it will show up, and we're much more likely to show up on your home page of YouTube as well, which is sort of an amalgamation of things you're already subscribed to and things YouTube thinks you might be interested in. If you click like on the video, that doesn't just show us that you like it, although we very much like to know that you like it. It shows YouTube that you like it too, which is a very important thing for a YouTube show. And finally, the bell here, if you click on it and it says personalized, that won't really do all that much, and I don't understand why. But if you click all, you will get notifications whenever we put a video up on the Electromaker YouTube channel, and that functionally is only really going to be the Electromaker show. Once in a blue moon, we might put up something ever so slightly different, but really the Electromaker YouTube channel is for the show, and that means that in the top corner here, under the notification bell, you will get notifications within the browser whenever a new Electromaker show goes live. You won't get those as desktop notifications that bother you when you're doing important work, unless you've turned your browser notifications on in general, which is something that I'm not a fan of anyway. Now, over on the electromaker.io website, there's a number of things you can do there as well. Under the community tab, you can upload your projects to Electromaker. Now, this can just be an image and a few words about your project saying what it is, or it can be a fully fledged tutorial. You can embed your YouTube videos in there, all of that kind of stuff. That helps us out massively, because obviously it means that we're getting more projects on our site and more things that we can share in the Electromaker show. It all kind of fits together. And of course, you can browse a bunch of projects here as well. And our Discord server is slowly growing, and I'm really glad to see more and more people are landing there. I will be doing some events on Discord in the future where we can all get together in a big room and talk about projects and things. But for now, if you haven't already joined Discord, yes, we have a server, and I'm looking forward to that taking off. But by far, the best way you can support this show is with the Electromaker store. We sell things from all the people you can see running along the top here. There may be a few familiar names like Crowd Supply we talk about on the show, but we also stock stuff from Sparkfun, Arduino, Adafruit, Tiny Circuits, Pimoroni, all these people. In fact, you'll be hearing more from Tiny Circuits a little bit later in the show and funding website things. They have a super cool new... Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. This store is a perfect place to get your stuff for your hobby projects. If you are thinking of making something relevant to this show, I would say this is a little solar powered manager. This is for a slightly lower voltage. This is for a 5-volt solar panel, and it will charge a 3.7 volt battery like an 18650. They're from DF Robot. A lovely little part, and it's only $7.90. Again, if you want to get official Adafruit NeoPixels, we stock those too. Just a couple of ideas. As always, there is absolutely no obligation for you to buy anything from us. It's just the best way you can support this show for now. If you can do the YouTube stuff, that would make a big difference to us. And if you choose not to do that, that's absolutely fine as well. We are here for you to watch our show regardless. Anyway, that is our little housekeeping section over. Let's get on with the more fun stuff in the show. It is time for funding website things, and today we are looking at a Kickstarter from UDOO. They have a new board out, and we're also looking at a crowd supply for the software-defined radio crowd, something which is still a little bit beyond me, but I do find very compelling, and I love the fact that people are making such wonderful tools for software-defined radios. But first, a new product from Tiny Circuits, the tiniest, clues in the name, playable little Game Boy clone-esque thing that will fit on your keychain. And when I say tiny, I really do mean tiny. This takes the idea of a miniature retro gaming device to an entirely new level. When you see it in someone's hands, it's just incredible. Look how small that thing is, and yet it still works. And not only does it come with a few games on it already, it is completely programmable via micro USB. And as you may well know, Tiny Circuits are an American company, and their thing is making tiny things. That's what they've always done. And they've had several successful Kickstarters. And I just think this is such a lovely concept. It is absolutely tiny, but it is programmable, and there's so many miniature retro gaming consoles out there with small microcontrollers on there now that you need to do something quite special in order to make it interesting, and I think they have. Now, one of the things they've done that really sets this one aside is that it's very easy to create games. They have a web-based IDE, and I'm a big fan of this. You plug it into your USB port, and then the IDE runs directly off it. It's the same way the Bella system works, and I like using that as well. And the IDE, the language here is MicroPython. Which is, of course, quite a lot easier for people to understand than having to get into the weeds and learn things with C and all that kind of stuff. And they have a quite nice little editor here you can see as well. There's a lot to it that makes it quite interesting. And I have to admit, like, I loved the idea of this Kickstarter to begin with anyway. I saw it and I thought, oh, that looks cool. Once I saw this web editor, that was the thing that made me go, okay, yep, I'm in. And I got a pair of them, actually. You can buy multiples, and if you have multiples, that you can have a cable that goes between them to turn it into a multiplayer tool. Thumby link, that's exactly what I was just talking about, a micro USB to micro USB cable. Anyway, if you are interested, you can get the basic version of Thumby for just $19, and it will be shipping in around February 2022. Tiny Circuits have done this kind of stuff before. They are very trustworthy, and they make very lovely things. And incidentally, they are also someone that is stocked on the Electromaker store if you're interested in checking out their other things. But for now, I will leave a link to this Kickstarter in the description of the video. And yeah, Thumby, the tiny playable keychain. It really is ridiculously tiny. Moving over to crowd supply with the ATEC 1001. Now, this is an open source, low-cost, software-definable front-end pre-selector for SDRs and wideband receivers. I'm absolutely aware that to some of you that won't mean anything, but to some of you that might be the most exciting thing you've heard this week. Such is the nature of software-defined radios. It's something that I don't know all that much about, I'll be absolutely honest. But seeing this seemed exciting enough to me to make me want to put it into the show, and it's something that I would really love to learn a little bit more about. What I did understand pretty easily was this instructional video, this example video, which shows the Lime Micro team using it with a Lime Net Micro in the receive path. So this is basically a bandpass filter. They're using a signal generator, and if I just skip forward a little bit, you can see they're using a signal generator to generate a signal, and then when they switch the bands, you can see the way that this signal is attenuated, along with a little chart here showing exactly what is happening. Again, to some of you, you'll be thinking, what's the big deal? That's not that interesting. And some of you will be going, okay, that's exactly what I need in my setup. So there's some information on the silicon itself here, and as it says, this is a switchable sub-octave bandpass filter bank, and it is one of the things you can buy from the crowd supply. You can back the project just to get the chip if you want, although they are of course selling an evaluation board for $300 and a fully assembled evaluation board which comes with a rugged case too. It's something that I wish I knew more about. I'd have to learn a little bit more about it. I will leave a link to it in the description of the video, of course. And if any of you really are into this kind of stuff, and you would like to give me maybe a quick primer in the comments as to what makes this thing so special, I'd love to hear about it. Because I'm out of my depth here. I do know that it costs a lot less than its competitors, as it says here, less than the Analog Devices and the Atlanta microboards. It seems like something which I think would be fantastic for any software-defined radio setup. After all, if you want to filter your inputs to get the cleanest signals possible, this seems like a good and cheaper way of doing it. But maybe I'm 100% wrong. Please do let me know in the comment section below, and if there is something you're interested in, feel free to support Atak Midas, the creator, on CrowdSupply. And finally, on Kickstarter, UDOO Key. This is the flexible AI platform, and it uses an ESP32 and an RP2040. Now, I am one of the many, many people on the internet who have said putting an ESP32 and an RP2040 on the same board might be a little bit overkill. They're both very capable chips, but the ESP32 kind of makes the RP2040 not needed, in my opinion, and other people agree with me. However, this is what I would think of as maybe something a little bit different, simply because it's from $4, as you're seeing up here. $4 for a fully featured evaluation board, which has an RP2040 and ESP32, and yes, an AI platform on it, as it says, the Clear AI platform, something I don't know too much about as yet. Yeah, it's a very, very cheap board in and of itself. So there is a kind of interesting introduction video of it right here, but let's get into the weeds a bit. So the board, it has an ESP32 at one end and an RP2040 at the other, and they communicate with one another via serial. The ESP32 is there for connectivity, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but you can also completely write the firmware of the ESP32 because the two boards just communicate via serial. It's quite easy to set that up yourself. And also it has a USB-C programming, which I know some people are going to be very happy about. I am one of the many people who is happy USB-C is taking over the world. It's worth mentioning at this point that that $4 price tag is just the super early bird price tag. So if I get myself slightly out of the way here, you'll be able to see, yeah, here, for $4 or more, you get the early bird UDOO Key and Clear. However, there's only 1,000 of those. So by the time you see this show, if you are interested in this, I'd go and get that, because obviously after that, it's going to jump up to $9, and then, yeah. So it's worth a look if you are interested in getting the early bird version. But anyway, back to the thing itself. There's a little bit more to it than just a cheap price tag and a couple of controllers. Now, what also makes this interesting is the fact that it comes with Clear. Now, I don't know all that much about Clear. I only just learned about it. It's Seiko's Edge IA suite of tools, which is designed to make yeah, Edge IA tools easier to work with. And like I say, it's very new to me, but from the little research I've done, it looks like a very comprehensive way of getting started quite easily. They have Clear apps, which you can download, which are a mixture of pre-trained models and various AI tools that you can use for things like facial recognition and sound recognition and all the things that kind of intersect with developing your own smart home devices and all that kind of stuff. But what I didn't realize is that Clear is built on top of these two things, Astarte and Edgehog. Now, I'd never heard of Edgehog before, but I had heard this name, and I can't remember why. But it says right here what it is, of course. It allows developers to manage and process IoT data, from collection and processing up to data orchestration, and it has a fully fledged SDK for the ESP32. But as mentioned, there's apps which allow you to set all this AI stuff. To read through all of this would take too long, so just go and have a look at it. But before we do move on, let's have a quick look at everything that is actually on these boards, because there's also some built-in sensors from the RP2040. Obviously, there's temperature sensing, and a few extras they've added on top. Just while we're on our way down there, just to note here, it is Python and MicroPython compatible. Obviously, it's an RP2040, TinyML, TensorFlow Lite, and the Arduino IDE, which is quite nice. They've made it 100% compatible with the Arduino IDE. Yeah, it works natively. But anyway, down to the spec list. So as you can see, there are the two microcontrollers as previously mentioned. They both have their own RAM and flash storage and all that kind of stuff. But as well as the on-chip temperature sensor of the RP2040, there is a 9-axis inertial measurement unit, a motion sensor, and an omnidirectional digital microphone. In terms of the RP2040, all of those pins are broken out, as you can see on the image here. And there is also a connector here for the ESP32 pins as well. Where is it now? A UX connector for I2C, SPI, and UART. So this is a really fascinating board. If you had said to me that there was, a board which did combine both an ESP32 and an RP2040 like this, one that was this big, I'd ask you why it existed. But it does actually look like they really have picked those chips for a reason. This is an AI microcontroller board for learning how to develop them, and the fact that they talk to each other via serial is nice. And the $4 asking price is just phenomenal, isn't it? So yeah, this is definitely worth a look. The UDOO Key, the flexible AI platform, from $4 if you're quick. So, in a moment, we will be announcing the winner of the MyCobot Pi competition that we started on the show a couple of weeks ago. But before we do that, I think it's high time we took a look inside the new mystery box. This is, as I mentioned, a brand new mystery box from the wonderful people at Mouser Electronics. So let me find my knife to get inside it. So never ever cut towards yourself. Never ever use an exposed blade to open boxes of sensitive electronics. Alright, so now that I have safely opened the mystery box, let's pick the first prize from the brand new mystery box. And ooh, there's a lot of boxes in here, but this little small one at the top looks like a fun one to get started with. And this is a microchip board from the wonderful people at Mouser Electronics, of course. Thank you very much for giving us these things. This is the ATmega 4809C Nano. What, is this just a chip or is this a development board? I shall investigate. Aha, so this is in fact a sealed development board. It is a very long and thin development board, not dissimilar to an Arduino sort of Nano, but much longer. But obviously, you can't really see inside the static case, so let me bring up an image of it. So yes, here it is, just above my head. This is the Microchip Technology ATmega 4809 Curiosity Nano Kit. Obviously the ATmega series of chips are synonymous with the Arduino IDE, and I'm fairly certain that the 4809 is one of the ones that has been ported over with the rest of the ATmega chips to the Arduino IDE, so you can program it using that, and of course MP Lab and Atmel Studio. It does have a user switch on it along with an LED as well. Yes, one yellow user LED, and it is a 32 kilohertz crystal on board for timing as well. So, this is going to be the first mystery box prize out of the new mystery box. Let me just put it back into the box. Oh, and by the way, it also comes with pins as well, for header pins for putting it onto a breadboard, for breadboarding and stuff like that. It's a really nice form factor of a board for breadboarding because it's sort of hard to tell from that image. Maybe you can tell by how small the little micro USB port is there, but this is very thin. This will sit in the middle of a breadboard nicely for development. Anyway, we have a prize. Now let's pick our first mystery box prize winner from the new mystery box. Now we're picking this mystery box prize winner from last week's video because it was the video before that was the MyCobot Pi competition, which we'll be getting onto in just a minute. But yes, the winner of this week's mystery box prize competition is Andrew Beasley, and we'll be in touch with you as to how we can get this lovely little development board out to you. His comment was saying about the 3D head, which is the, I think, 6-color 3D printer head that we featured in last week's show as a Kickstarter that unfortunately failed. It's a shame about the 3D head not taking off. I wonder if it's due to the dropping cost of resin printers or the perceived waste of filament at color change, both of which could be contributing factors for sure. Most of the wargaming folk are only using resin printers and leaving filament behind due to the lack of layer lines. Yes, that is absolutely true. A lot of my friends back home who are into wargaming are all using resin printers, also just because the detail is stunning, especially on some of the newer printers. Voice recognition is an interesting idea. The best maker example I've seen is Unexpected Maker and his component real storage, something we featured on the show some time ago. It's a fantastic system for storing all of his components, and he can just say, show me this, and it will light up exactly where the component he wants is. Fantastic project. Anyway, congratulations, Andrew. We'll be in touch as to how we can get this prize out to you. But that is not the only competition we're giving away on this show. We are finally going to be announcing the winners of our MyCobot Pi competition. So, in case you missed it, we started a competition 2 weeks ago for the MyCobot Pi, and it is this lovely 6 degrees of freedom robotic arm, which runs on the Raspberry Pi, and there's me goofing about behind it a little bit. And it has a number of attachments. It has an M5 Atom in the head as well, which is programmable via the Raspberry Pi. It's not without its software issues, but it's definitely the best hardware robot I've ever used, and I'm not going to lie, I don't want to be giving it away. But I am very happy, by the same token, that we get to give it away to one of you lovely lot. So, it was very simple. The competition was on 2 weeks ago's video. You just had to hashtag it MyCobot Pi, say what you would do if you got the robot, yeah, be a subscriber to the channel. And it is now time for us to announce the winner of that competition. Now, as always, when we have competitions like this, there were no bad entries. There were so many wonderful ideas as to what people would do with the MyCobot Pi, but the one we have chosen is Phil. Phil says he would use the MyCobot in technology classes for high school to introduce students to new technologies and coding platforms. Having a hands-on system like this off-the-shelf unit would be amazing for young students. It seems like a wonderful use for the MyCobot Pi, and yes, so congratulations, Phil. We'll be in touch with you as to how we can get that out to you, and so you can use it with your students. As to everyone else who entered this competition, thank you so much for doing so. It's really nice. I mean, obviously you can win a robot arm, so it's there's a reason that you entered it, but by the same token, the fact that so many people obviously watched the video and were enthusiastic enough about the robot arm from what I've said about it to enter means a lot. We'll be doing more specialized giveaways in the future on this show, but for a little while we're also going to be having the mystery box competition back because we've had a lot of giveaways recently. However, that is not to say that we don't have a pretty cool giveaway coming up in a few weeks' time of a rather awesome bit of kit, which is a little bit more professional than our usual. I'm going to just leave it at that. That's enough of a teaser. But Phil, congratulations, and thank you for everyone that entered the competition. Let's get back to the rest of the regular show. So we're going to finish up the show talking about the Maker Faire in Rome. But before that, back to the semiconductor shortage. So this is from the Adafruit Daily, and it's coming at it from the point of view of what America is doing to try and deal with the semiconductor shortage as it happens, rather than look at the root causes and all that kind of stuff. Which is as important as everything else, because obviously a lot of companies are trying to hoard whatever supplies they can get right now in order to keep production, to keep their profits flying high and all that kind of stuff. This is the Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo, who's talking about, Raimondo, I may have pronounced that wrong, who's talking about maybe invoking the Defense Production Act, which is an old American law which allows the government to essentially dictate how businesses can do their business in order to make sure that everyone gets enough stuff, in this case, semiconductors. Now, that isn't happening quite yet. Right now, this is the official thing. The Commerce Department is now asking companies to fill out questionnaires within 45 days providing supply chain information, i.e. where are they getting their chips from and how many of them have they bought? How many of them are they sitting on? This is a sum up of an article in Bloomberg, which is linked right here. But I'll just link the Adafruit Daily. It's a very interesting issue of the Adafruit Daily, and also if you weren't familiar with it, it's something worth signing up for. It's day-to-day, lots of fun information, definitely worth looking at. However, delightfully, the Maker Faire in Rome is back, and unfortunately I can't be visiting it in person this year. There's a little bit too much going on in my life right now for me to be jetting off to go to the Maker Faire, but who knows, maybe next year we'll do a live Electromaker from the Maker Faire in Berlin here, but we'll see. But yes, Maker Faire Rome is going to be an in-person event, and if you are someone who is in Italy and within the area of Rome and is wanting to get a last-minute ticket, it is definitely worth having a look at the page here. There are still tickets available for it. Obviously, I'd imagine that less people are going there because there are still travel restrictions in place from some parts of the world. So yes, if you are in the region around Italy or Rome and you think you can safely make it there, this can be an in-person Maker event for you. But luckily, and certainly for me and for all of us, you can also attend the Maker Faire digitally. Now, I think I did mention a while back that they were planning on doing another digital event this year, regardless of the situation, because last year's digital event was such a positive thing. So in short, I will leave a link to this make it scene article here, and you can watch the hype video for it. If you want to get tickets, you can get tickets from here. If you want to register for the online version, you can do that here. And online registration is very easy to do and quick, and in English as well as Italian. And I know it is all of those things because I just registered myself, and yeah, it's easy to do. So this event is starting 1 day later than the physical event, if I think. Let's have a look. Oh, every edition, the opening conference will come on the 7th of October. But yes, if you head to this page and you register, then you will get a reminder before the event starts, and you can keep heading back and watch the completely live broadcast. They're broadcasting the entire thing like a live TV station, and of course we'll be editing down some highlights after the fact as well. But I'm very glad to find that the Maker Faire is starting again. I'm looking forward to the Maker Faire coming back to my city as well. And I will leave a link to the original Make Zine article in the description of this video. That was our show for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for all of the support that you are showing the Electromaker show, be that on YouTube with all the liking and subscribing and all that kind of stuff, or buying stuff from the Electromaker store, which of course is the most direct way that you can support us. Don't forget to check out the Discord server if you would like to come and hang out. Slowly people are kind of amalgamating there, and it'd be nice to have some kind of meet up in the live chat and video section of that. Maybe we could even work on a project together at some point, who knows. But for now, the most important thing for me is that you're having a fun, safe and creative week, and I will see you in the next show.